Think about the times you've bailed out a coworker. You took on their shifts, skipped lunch, and stayed at your desk long after everyone else finished clocking out. Fast forward 6 months. You were the one overwhelmed, so you ask them for a simple favor, and they politely decline. Your immediate instinct is to tally the score. You remind them of those late nights, assuming loyalty and a basic sense of gratitude will force them to step up. But trying to spend your past sacrifices like currency almost never buys you the cooperation you need today. It just leaves you annoyed and entirely out of options. To figure out why that approach fails, we have to look at the work of author Robert Greene. He documented the mechanics of human leverage in his 13th Law of Power. The law states that when asking for help, you must appeal exclusively to people's self-interest and never to their mercy or gratitude. That rule sounds incredibly abrasive on first hearing. It feels cold, calculating, and almost aggressively selfish. But if we want to accurately predict how people actually make decisions, we have to set aside our personal ideals of fairness and look directly at human psychology. When a colleague brushes off your past help, they aren't necessarily acting out of malice or a defective moral compass. Their brain is simply wired to prioritize immediate, active problems over historical events. This graph shows the gratitude expiration date. The value of past favors declines sharply as new stressors stack up. Digging up expired favors months later that doesn't inspire, it just manufactures a heavy sense of guilt. When humans sense emotional pressure, our biological instinct is to resist it and create distance. By treating your relationship like a collection agency demanding past due gratitude, you turn a social bond into a forced transaction, which guarantees resistance rather than cooperation. Let's test two different approaches. Pitch A sounds like this. I am completely swamped, and after all the times I helped you, I really need you to do this for me. Pitch B takes a different angle. If we knock out this project together, we both hit our quotas, and your contribution will be front and center in the final report. The first pitch is fatally flawed because it anchors both of you to the past, leaning entirely on the fragile weight of guilt. The second pitch removes that friction by pointing you both toward the future, outlining a tangible, shared opportunity for success. We respond more readily to what affects our immediate circumstances. This is a reflection of how our attention is naturally distributed rather than a moral failure. You can see this mechanism at work at the highest levels of business. The best negotiators rarely start a conversation by declaring what they want. Instead, they begin by asking targeted questions, listening closely to map out the other person's exact goals, anxieties, and priorities. Effective negotiation centers on positioning your request as the missing solution to the other person's problem. When they see a path to their own goal, your proposal stops feeling like a burden. It is vital to separate this strategy from manipulation. Highlighting mutual benefit does not mean lying, exploiting people, or making empty promises. The ethical application of this law relies on finding genuine, pre-existing common ground and entirely respecting the other person's freedom to walk away. Counterintuitively, the most effective way to secure what you want is to stop talking about your own needs entirely. You must pivot your focus to the person across the table. This strategy demands a level of active listening that many people never master. You have to move past your own perspective to identify what actually motivates another human being. So the next time you need to ask for a favor, hit pause. Take a moment to clearly identify how saying yes will actually help the other person achieve their own goals. Drop the failing mindset of asking, "Remember what I did for you?" and replace it with the frictionless framework of, "How can this help both of us?" Influence built purely on mutual benefit creates lasting, self-sustaining partnerships because everyone is pulling in the same direction. Real influence comes from inviting others to create something valuable together. When you solve their problems alongside your own, the need for pressure disappears.